Hello, everyone, and welcome to the It's My Time show. I'm your host, David Angeron, along with co-host James Gamble, and we're here with episode 3 of the It's My Time show. Welcome to the show, James.
Thanks, Dave. Really excited about today's topics, and let's get it started.
Yeah, today's topic is going to be really interesting. I get a lot of phone calls from players and parents and coaches asking questions about what's the best opportunities for exposure, whether it's camps and clinics and showcases and teams. And there's so much misleading information. So I really wanted to have an episode just on that. I think there's a lot of information we need to get out to them so they can make the good decisions about, the best exposure rate, and keeping it affordable for them as well.
No, I think you're right. For me, and this is an opinion, I think people are misusing the word exposure. I hear it about, let me go to this certain tournament or let me be in front of this certain person. And really, to me, exposure goes directly with exposure rate, the rate of time someone gets to see something. If you drive up and down the I-10 towards Mississippi, you don't see one billboard for a casino. You see 20 billboards of a casino because there's an exposure rate. If you turn on your television, you don't see one ad for McDonald's. You see multiple. They're trying to get impressions on you. So for me, the word exposure is, I want to have a rate of times that I'm playing in front of somebody where they can learn my positives, my negatives, and where I really am, because baseball is a game of consistency. So that one time looking good is really misleading. And if you'll track sometimes I'll call it a showcase player, they've got all the tools, but when you turn the lights on and you're ready to play the game, they can't play the game. So you don't want just a one-time look. You want to have a history with the player. Major League Scouts, when they go to see somebody, they don't look at them once. They follow them multiple times. They have their regional scout and their cross-checkers. They're getting a lot of history on a player before they make an investment. So I want the parents and kids to know it's not about one day. When we say being in the right place at the right time, it may to get the coaches to get their attention. But then for the coaches, they need to follow up and see these guys multiple times to really know what they're getting.
Right. And there's so many good companies out there that help. I'm not going to say My Time's the only college placement company that you should look into. There really are some good companies with people that are, motivated to help players. But in the same hand, there's a lot of bad ones too that just, try to monetize off of players' dreams and hopes. And, that's the one thing that we pride ourselves on is, this isn't my job. This is my passion. I'm a certified sports psychology coach that I do mental training for, college and pro athletes, full time. This is something I love to do. And when I say exposure, we're going to actively promote you to the next level. If you're a My Time member, you're not just getting a profile that sits on a website hoping that college coaches come and give you exposure, because it just doesn't happen. I mean, there's so many athletes out there with profiles on the computer. College coaches just don't have time to go through and look at every profile on the computer. So you have to have somebody that is actively promoting you, that college coaches and pro scouts trust. And there's a lot of companies out there that have those type of people, but make sure before you invest a whole lot of money that you have those type of people on board and that they're going to actively promote you and not just put a fancy little billboard on a computer screen for you.
Sure. Well, I think you said it right there. And over the past 24 years that I've been working in advancement, it's always come down to the trust line that you have, the network. You always want to be able to call somebody and get information about that player. And with My Time, it allows the athlete to control his own future. But then what My Time does is goes behind and it puts in the reports. It's asking the questions. It's verifying the information to make sure there's some accuracy there. But it's not just saying, hey, post something up there and best of luck to you. People go look at it. No, it's constantly pushing the envelope, talking to coaches. You'll know the accurate right now, but I know with My Time, it's close to 2,000 coaches that are in contact, looking for players. For myself as well, we're always getting phone calls about what am I looking for? Okay, it's not tweeted out publicly that, XYZ University is looking for a 2021 shortstop, but that is happening every day of my life.
Right.
And yours as well, where you're getting the phone calls. This is what they're looking for. So you're trying to put the right players in front of the right coaches to have a match to where everybody wins.
Right. And there's some companies out there, I have parents that call me and say, yeah, I signed up with this company and, they send all their information out to the college questionnaire or recruiting person. And I mean, the recruiting thing online is public knowledge. The 2,000 college coaches that we work with, like you said, is a network that we built over the years. When I was scouting, with Major League Baseball and with the Global Scouting Bureau, a lot of college coaches will call me and say, "Hey, look, my kid didn't get drafted. Can you help him get to professional baseball?" And I would work hand in hand with you and some other pro scouts and help them get to independent ball and international ball. And that's how we built that network of trust. So now the college coaches, when they're looking for high school players and junior college players, they know that, they can trust us to help them find quality players. We're not just in it for, the money part. We're not going to take $39 a month from a player who can't throw the ball across the street. I mean, we're going to, actually evaluate the players. We're going to make sure that we have the factual information, the factual data. And if I tell a college coach that the kid throws 84, he's going to throw 84. We're going to be we don't sugarcoat anything. We just try to get the honest information out there. And, the network that we've built over the last 20 years is pretty impressive. And, I think it's beneficial for the players, the parents, and the coaches to really help everybody involved. It becomes a win-win situation for everyone.
Sure. Well, I normally start off talking to players and their families, and this is going to come out of left field to a lot, that the number one exposure thing you can do, or the number one showcase, is every single day at practice when you go to high school, okay? It's your job as a player to impress your head coach. I always hear about my coach doesn't like me, he plays this other guy. Well, guess what? That's called real life, okay? It's the same in the business world. You have to make your bosses like you. It's your goal to understand what his expectation is. And every day at practice is another showcase. Okay. I've never met a coach ever that doesn't like to talk about his favorite players. It's your job to become his favorite player, right? Now, it doesn't always happen. And we've helped a lot of kids where there was, some relationships where a guy doesn't play well for another guy. That's fine. But it's your job as a player to go into an environment, understand the expectations, do the best that you can do to impress your boss, okay? Because those bosses or these coaches, they're going to talk about their favorite players. And then what we do is we're constantly networking with them, because each and every day, if you understand the system, what is a high school coach doing during the day? He's teaching, okay? He's not networking because he's teaching. What is a college coach doing every day? Well, he's coaching his current players. What we're doing is networking for a living. I've done it 24 years. You'd be surprised that every year there's this new company that's super cool that has all these nice, great bells and whistles they're going to do. And 2 years later, they're out of business.
Right.
24 years later, I'm still doing the same thing, which is focused on education, evaluation, and exposure, and the advancement of athletes, coaches through the sports world. That's our focus. I think that's what we're good at. And I just want the players to know that ultimately they control their future. That's why I really like what my time is doing.
Right. So, right. Now let's touch a little bit about showcases. We put on some showcases with analytic equipment and things like that. I try to tell the parents, if you go into a quote showcase, don't expect a whole lot of interest from college coaches and to get signed and get, offers right there at the showcase. The showcase event is more to evaluate your tools. If you need to know what your arm strength is, if you need to know what your 60-yard dash is, that's really the most important part of a showcase. Granted, there will be some college coaches there that will be able to sign players, but overall, a lot of the coaches that show up are volunteers and don't really have, the authority to sign players. So, a lot of these parents think, okay, well, I'm going to spend a whole lot of money to go to the showcase, and there's 70 college coaches that are going to be there. And that's kind of misleading.
Sure. Well, again, I try to take up for some of the showcases. You're right. There's a lot of companies that doing them. But again, I think it's the cliff notes. That's where the problem is. The majority of the baseball and sports world is living off of the internet, the Twitter, the Instagram, Facebook, cliff notes, not understanding what's going on underneath the surface. If a coach that's at that showcase likes you, what normally happens? They're then going to invite you to their own camp where their real personnel can see you, so that one X amount that you paid only led to maybe 2 or 3 more invites to spend X or Y again. At a showcase, normally what stands out is the guys who run the fastest, throw the hardest, hit the farthest. That's just a fact. So if you're a guy that runs an 8 flat, you're really wasting your money going to a showcase, period. Again, when My Time does its events, it's more doing, it's giving you the analytics, it's giving you a tool assessment of where you're at. Now, then you get to choose. Do you want that information out there? Or you might ought to go back home and go to work because you run too slow, you don't throw hard enough, and you don't hit really well.
Right.
Okay? It tells you where you need to focus. And so I think just partial information is getting out there. And it's that peer affirmation that parents, they want it right now without really understanding the process of what tools you need to have. If you're a kid that runs 6'6", great, man. Show up. Somebody's going to pay attention to you because you ran really fast. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down, can you play the game of baseball?
Right.
That's why I'm a big fan of having scouts. We're a scouting company. We go out to games. We watch them in the live environment. I don't know, does Major League Baseball do a showcase before it starts the Major League season to then say this guy is ranked 1 or 2? Or do they actually say, here's spring training, let's go play? And then they pick the all-star team based on how they're actually performing.
Right.
Because tomorrow's April 1, they're going to start Major League Baseball. But I don't think anybody knows who's actually on the all-star team yet, right? They have it. Okay. So my whole thing is for players, look, you control this through your hard work, through understanding the game. When we co-authored the book, It's My Time, it was about giving you the details of what tools they're looking for. Okay, if you throw 74, there's not a lot of people out there looking for a 74-mile-an-hour pitcher, period. So you can go to all the showcases you want, and you may be a really good pitcher. You might be 7-0 with a 2 ERA in high school. Nobody's looking for that,
Right.
okay? We're trying to give you what they're looking for. So parents, if you dive in, and players, if you dive in, and then you look in the mirror and see where you're at, okay? And then take the appropriate steps, because if you have the tools, if you work hard, you're going to be able to advance, but not only on the field, but in the classroom. That's why it's really big to understand the entire surroundings of what it takes to be a college athlete.
Right. Like you and I talked about the other day, these rankings, players getting ranked and things like that. And you kind of touched on it just now. A lot of players can go to a showcase and have the tools and really look good at a showcase, but not perform in game time. Like you said, Tony Gwynn, Kirby Puckett, some of those guys are Hall of Famers, and they wouldn't even show up on a showcase radar or rankings,
Well, here's the ranking I tell everybody they should worry about. If I'm a college player, I want my head coach. If I'm a pitcher, I want to be one of the top 3 or 4 pitchers. That ranking I care about. But if you actually right now go and look at all these companies that rank players, go look at it from last year and the year before, then go find the player at college. At times you see this highly ranked player sitting on a bench. So that ranking was irrelevant. It was misleading. It was false. It led in the wrong direction.
Right.
We need to educate them on, hey, when you get somewhere, everybody's going to be talented. Okay. You got to know how to work and get back up and make the right choices when you're making a decision on where to go to college. Hey, those early commits. Okay, if you're going to early commit, are you telling me that in 2025 what that school's going to have that's competing with you? It's so tough. And I know we briefly touched on that in the past as well. It's really trying to understand it. I'm not against those talented players that are very elite, that have the ability to commit. I'm against the process of these colleges can offer a kid, it's all verbal. They're 14 years old, okay? At 14 years old, even if you're an elite athlete, it doesn't mean that you're an elite intellectual that's good at making choices down the road. Because that same college that offered you, if they're struggling, they're going to go pop a junior college player 2 years later who comes in with 300 at-bats more than you. You may not be on the field. So all of a sudden, it's a really touchy situation. I wish they would pass legislation. In my opinion, it would be, if you want him, you go ahead and sign him. Sign the letter of intent. Now you own him. Because the data right now is trending that the early commits do not show up. They don't play at the college they committed to. And there's a whole psychological side. And I don't know if you want to touch on that. I know I'm getting off base, but I could name players that early committed that then had that commitment pulled from them. Now, I know it's their fault. They didn't continue to improve at the rate maybe that college wanted. But that kid for 2 years, and that's somebody's son, okay? That's somebody's brother, was committed, and he was happy, and he thought he was going to that school. Then all of a sudden they get it pulled away at the last minute. Now all of a sudden that joy that he was feeling, now he's He's in the dumps. He's depressed. He's embarrassed. He's ashamed. And everybody says, well, it's part of the game. Well, it's easy to say when you're a 35-year-old man that's doing your job and you're getting paid to do it. But to that now 16, 17-year-old kid, he's a kid, okay? That's a real person. And so for me, I wish the industry would go ahead and step up and say, hey, XYZ University, you want him, you got him. You can't get out of it. There's a penalty here. And vice versa. If a kid commits, I don't want them trying to say, well, you know what? I committed to him, and 2 years later, a player on another team called me because I got better and I can dump this school and go to another one. You know, it's bad both ways. So I think if you would go ahead and make them, let's go ahead and sign. Let's do it then. And we could stop a lot of that.
Yeah. Like I said, I saw a post the other day is, you know, like getting engaged, saying, hey, we're going to get married in 5 years, and you stay committed and stop looking while she's still dating around. And, you know,
sure,
if you find somebody else, it's, you know, it's tough luck for you. And like you said, on the psychological side, you know, I talk to parents all the time about this early commit stuff. And I tell them, you know, over 75% of the early commits don't even step foot on the field or at the university that they early commit to. And I do a lot of sports psychology training on those type of players that, you know, get crushed because their hopes and dreams for the last 2 years were on a university they committed to in 8th grade, and it just doesn't happen for them. And, you know, they could be big time superstars at another college, but they have a hard time getting over the mental letdown of, you know, being decommitted. So, you know, it's a really, really bad situation there. You know, I think you got to be careful when you do commit early. I know, you know, it's an awesome opportunity for, you know, your family to brag on you and say, hey, look, I committed to major Division I school in 8th grade or 9th grade. It's a tough situation. So really be careful and do your research before you decide to verbally commit early.
Sure. I would totally agree with you there. Again, I don't think there's enough information out. Nobody's posting on the internet when that kid gets decommitted. You know, they're all willing to post and put out that table with that, you know, the cake and the picture of the hats, and they're so excited when they commit. Right. But I don't see those same posts whenever that kid's getting decommitted, when he's getting his money pulled, when he's being pushed out of the portal, when all of a sudden that kid's turning to drugs and alcohol. And yes, that has happened. Okay. And that kid now is in his room. He doesn't want to go out. He feels like a failure. Look, I know what that feels like. But whenever you're 16 and 17, man, that's really tough on them. Okay. And I think a lot of that parents, if you want to protect your kid, educate them. If that program likes your son, they're going to like him when he's 14, 15, 16. Okay, they're going to. Yeah. I always hear, and David, you hear this too, hey, the college is out of money, right? They're out of money for the 2021 class. Right. Until I roll up with a 6'4" lefty throwing 92, and all of a sudden, bam, we just found some money. Or when you find exactly what they need. But that's not posted on the internet. I've never met a coach that puts out a tweet, you know, University X looking for 2021 shortstops with experience, runs fast, good arm, you know, please contact us at. That doesn't happen. Right. They're privately looking, okay, and they're publicly saying we're out of money, which is a nice way of saying you don't fit what I'm looking for. Right. Okay, that's what it means.
Yeah. So. Yeah, like you said, there's no way they can tell who's going to get hurt or injured or, you know, drafted or fail out of school.
We're in the season, and I'll tell you, here's some questions to ask any coach. Right now, college coaches, you know a lot of them. Can you tell me who's going to get hurt from moving forward from today between now and the end of the season? Okay, no, they don't know the answer. Okay, can you tell me who's going to fail out? They don't know the answer. Who's just going to up and quit? It happens. Okay, right. Who's going to get drafted and sign? Okay, there's so many things that are not known that there's constantly going to be change in the game. Right. There's times when they have a great fall. Every college has a really good fall, and they have their own little depth chart, their own ranking, one that actually matters. Okay, and then all of a sudden a kid says, you know what, I don't like it here. And he leaves. Well, that just changed everything. Now they have a need. Or a kid doesn't make the grades. Or he has a girlfriend. Whole nother situation. He gets homesick. All these things actually happen at every college. Okay, so there's so much out there. That's why this arbitrary early signing is irrelevant. If you will focus on your tools, okay, and focus on being in the classroom, being the best you can be, there's going to be opportunities. And when you make your decision, I hope you go there to play, not just to be on a team, rather than rushing to make a decision really early And 3 years down the road, it's almost like me saying, hey, Dave, guess what? There's going to be a hurricane July 26, 2024. There's no way I know that. I can't tell you to evacuate.
Right.
It's just not, it's not logical.
Yeah. The other thing I want to touch on is these teams, summer teams, showcase teams. I know you have a lot of experience with that. But the game's changed. The showcase teams and, things like that have changed over the years. I remember, 10, 15 years ago, the showcase tournaments were full of elite showcase teams, and now you have a lot of these quote daddy ball teams that, my son wasn't good enough to play on this team, so I'm gonna go start another team. And it just kind of snowballed into, there's showcase teams everywhere. So I try to tell a lot of players and parents, when you're trying to pick a good team to play on in the summer, do your homework as well, because you need to know what kind of credibility your program has that you're playing on, because that'll really benefit you in the long run. I mean, college coaches, again, they go up the trust factor, and if they can't trust your summer league coach, and you're not getting better and improving, and you're not getting any exposure, I mean, what are you spending the money for to play on a summer team for?
Sure. Well, for me, again, I think there's a lot of really good teams out there and a lot of good programs that are focused on trying to help the kids. Some of the things that I like to see in a program is, are they willing to train during the week? Are they willing to put in some time in the development aspect? Okay. A lot of the teams, they just take you to a tournament. It's, hope you figure it out. I hope that tournament does something for you. And the truth is, you want to make sure you're in an environment where your coach, your program is advocating for you. Right. Kind of like what, my time is doing. It's reaching out to other people, and everybody should be working in the best interest of the kid to advance those athletes. I think what's happening is, and this is why I like high school coaches so much, is because they get run through the ringer. It may be the first time where a kid actually gets cut or gets sat on a bench.
Yeah.
I think the industry where it goes wrong is the first time that a certain parent, and I don't know which one it is, when they feel their opinion is more valid than your opinion, even though this is what you do. Right. They decide to take their son, his best friend, get 10 other kids that are going to play all the time. They're now the new general manager of the Ducks, okay, or whatever they want to call their team. And if they win a game, they're better than everybody. And they're not understanding that in the summer, it should not really be about winning. It should be about competing at the highest level you can.
Right.
Continuing to advance your skill set, developing, and putting you in the right place to show you to people where you could potentially play. Right. And so every time I'm talking to coaches of summer organizations, you can tell pretty quick if they're involved with, they know their players' names, they know about their players, okay, they're talking about them, and they're being honest in their assessments. Like, hey, this guy doesn't run extremely fast, but he can really hit. He's got really good grades. All of this is important. If your organization is not understanding who you really are, that's a problem. Then you're just going to play baseball. And that's one of the things that it's kind of offensive. I don't have kids of my own, but I want people to take an interest in my kid. Okay. I want them to be honest, even if they say, look, your son, he's overweight. There it is. I'm telling you the facts. Your son's overweight. He needs to drop 20 pounds. He needs to run faster. Now, yes, that's up to that kid to do it, but you can't just say, hey, let's just show up at a tournament. Maybe somebody will like you. No, give them a plan. You're a baseball person, right? That's why you raised your hand and said, give me money. Be honest with me because of your experience. That's what I would expect out of these programs.
Right.
And there's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah, definitely. I do a lot of scouting, especially in the summertime. I catch a lot of showcase tournaments, and I mean, there are some really good programs. But again, there's some bad ones too. So all I'm saying is, parents, just do your research and, make sure you get a good grasp of, what you're paying for and, what kind of exposure and what kind of improvement that your kid will have over the summer. Like you said, there's some teams I'll go to scout and I'll go ask the coach after the game, hey, what's your shortstop's name and where does he go to school? And they don't even know, they picked him up, the day before the tournament, and, they got players in their program sitting the bench while they bring in these new players to fill in because they want to win the tournament. And, that's the type of stuff that I would kind of shy away from if you're looking for a team to play on.
Well, the other thing is, when everybody brags about how good a team is, that's not why you're playing. You're playing the majority of time so that you can advance and go to another level. Okay. And you want to compete, absolutely. But I'll give you an example. You would know the coach, so I won't say his name, but one time I got a call to go watch a high school team, and he said, man, he had some really good players. He thought they should move on. Well, I went out and watched, a coaching masterpiece. All right. Now, they bunted about 15 times. All right. They made all the plays defensively, and he took advantage of the other coach because he knew the game. And at the end of the game, he said, what do you think? And I said, Coach, I want to sign you because you just manhandled an entire team. I never got to see a guy really swing the bat. You took advantage of a third baseman that played deep, that wasn't a great infielder, and you bunted, 15 times to him. And boy, y'all ran the bases well. At times, some of the programs are so big on we win that they're losing what should be the first priority, which is I want to advance my kid. If you want to win something, win in high school, win a state championship, okay? You're going to remember that for the rest of your life. But you're probably not going to really remember winning a tournament at, Lamar, and I love Lamar, but you're not going to really remember winning a tournament at Lamar when you were 16 years old. That's not the number one reason you're playing summer baseball.
Right.
It's very personal.
Yeah. When I go to scout in summertime, it's frustrating to me sometimes. And, I'm seeing teams executing first and third defenses and bunt coverages and things like that, but they don't showcase their players. I don't want to see a 3-hole or 4-hole hitter bunting in the first inning. I want to see them swing the bat, because if they want to be a college player and hit at that level, they need to be able to swing the bat. So, like you said, focus on, the showcase and the development and, the exposure rate in the summertime, and,
Sure.
Do all the fundamental stuff, in your season when it matters.
Well, one of the things that, our company owns a tournament company. And one of the things that I see all the time is that some teams will shy away from coming because they may lose. So what? I saw the Twins beat the Yankees, man.
Yeah.
It's the New York Yankees, and they lose baseball games. In fact, when you win the World Series, you probably lost 50 to 60 times.
Right.
I think at times the individuals get too driven on themselves rather than what we're really here to do, which is to educate the kids and advance them. So what? You lost. Parents, grow up, okay? It's a baseball game. You're actually playing so that your kid can have a future, or that's what I think they're playing for.
Yeah.
To develop and advance in the game of baseball.
Right.
So.
Well, that's some good points. And I think we covered a lot of it for the parents and the coaches that have had questions on this topic. Anything else you want to add on it, James?
No, I would just, again, go back to the number one showcase is an everyday practice, because you're going to have a high exposure rate at your high school. Okay. And when recruiting is done right, the college coaches actually are going to be following up, finding out about that kid's everyday behavior and activity. If not, that college has a huge risk of not really knowing the psychological side, the social side, how that kid is in the classroom, how he is with his teammates. So the number one thing that you can do, whether it's in high school or even in the summer, is showcase for the coach that you have. Make him a believer in who you are. Okay, both athletically, when you're not on the field, being a guy that brings something to the game of baseball, being that dirtbag, being that high IQ. I think too many times we keep looking for somebody to change our life rather than changing our own life from inside. And I think we can do that as an athlete.
Right. And, I'll piggyback off of that and just tell the parents and the players, especially younger players, be patient. I talked to a few parents today. Their kids are 2022 and 2023 grads. And, they're panicking, thinking that they should be getting a whole lot of, contacts and things like that from college coaches right now. And, unless you're above average and really high profile, 2022, 2023, 2024, you're not going to be getting a whole lot of contacts this early. So be patient. A lot of the coaches I talk to right now, they're focused on junior college players and, some high end 2021s. I mean, some of the 2021s won't even get, contacts until the summertime. But if you can play, there's going to be a place for you and there's going to be opportunities for you. So don't panic and think that, hey, I'm a junior, I need to have all these coaches contacting me right now. It's not the time for that.
Sure. Well, you just said one thing, and I'd like to elaborate a little bit. You said junior college, and I'm a huge advocate of junior college, especially now with everything going on with COVID. Okay. If you start looking at the average age of the Division I player and the four-year school players, it's no longer 19 and 20. which was the median age, 2 years ago. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting the 21, 22 as a median age based on the 23, 24, 25-year-old players that are there. So at the end of the day, how are you going to get better?
Right.
Playing, okay? You're going to be training and playing in the live competitions. So make good choices, because a lot of people knock junior college. I do not understand it, because junior college is, great opportunity academically to get your core classes. They will transfer, okay? And secondly, you get to play, okay? You're going to get out there and compete and get, 150 at bats, or get you 60, 70 innings as a freshman and then sophomore. And you're going to have more experience. So then when you're at that 4-year school, you're going to be above the guy that's been there for 2 years. He may have been at that program for 2 years, but now you've got 300 at bats, or you've got 120 innings. You've just been through more of the storm. You're more weathered. So I think people should consider that and not shy away from junior colleges.
Right. And that's going to be our episode next week is, the value of junior college. I mean, we have a whole episode. We could talk for hours just on the importance and the value that junior college, athletics provides to players. So, that's going to be our topic next week, and looking forward to talking more about that as well. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with the Who Is That section. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the It's My Time show. Again, I'm host David Angeron along with James Gamble. And now it's time for us to get into the Who Is That section and talk about some of the top players and programs that we've seen throughout the beginning of this baseball season. So, James, go ahead and tell me about some of your players that you've seen.
Well, instead of just doing players, the one thing that I'm kind of excited about is I'm seeing a lot of the 2022s and 3s and 4s and schools like some of them are well known, like your St. Thomas More, that's starting to showcase some of the good young talent. You know what they're going to become. The Berwick High School, where all of a sudden I'm seeing 8 different guys that are sitting 78 to 83 that are sophomores. Okay, so this is a big number. I'd have to name 8 guys and send 8 videos, would take up the whole section. But I'm starting to see more and more of that, and the scouts that work for us, they're starting to see the same thing. The South Beauregards, that again right now they're ranked really high in the state through the LHSAA polls. But when you look at their program, you're seeing some seniors that can really play, but you're starting to see this depth of young talent. So I think baseball is going to continue to trend upwards. I think last year really hurt us with COVID, where some of the juniors and seniors aren't quite at the level that I would expect had we had a full season. But the younger players, when they're starting to get in, and they are, the Notre Dames, you're starting to see some young players get on the field. The Lorevilles, their young players are starting to carry them. These young players, I get excited because I know they've still got time that they can continue to develop their tools, but they're competing at a high level. Their teams may not be winning as much. Some of them are still doing well. But even your Westminsters and your Opelousas Catholics, I mean, these programs are showing some young players competing at the varsity level. West Feliciana, you got freshmen that are starting in their lineup, and they're not just starting and hitting 180. They're actually performing well. So I'm going to name more of them in the future. It's just that's what's been standing out to me and our scouts when we've been going out. Yes, we see the high-end guys that are committed, and they're standing out. That's great. But we're seeing a lot of young talent that we're excited about, because I think we're a year or two away from having really good baseball in the state of Louisiana again.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen a lot of good baseball this year too. And, like you said, some of these young athletes are really stepping up and, performing well for their programs. I have a couple of players that I want to, talk about specifically. Sam Hall from Beaumont, Texas, he's a 2022 grad, and, he's going to be a D1 arm. I mean, he's 86 to 88. I think he threw a no-hitter the other night. He can just pick his spot and hit the spot almost every time. I mean, his command is phenomenal, and the ball just jumps out of his hand. He gets good spin rate. So I expect really good things. I know he's got a couple of D1 offers already, but I expect more to come from him. Cade Romero is another one from the Beaumont area. Again, another 2022 grad, and he can spin it, man. He's 86 to 90, and his spin rate is through the roof. But he also plays shortstop. He can swing it. He runs well. He throws 90 plus across the diamond. He's just a kid I like to watch. He could possibly be a two-way player. But I think, he's definitely a D1 type arm. He'll get some more offers. Again, I think he has a couple of offers right now, but he'll get some more Division I offers coming soon. And then I saw two of my time prospects at Coastal Alabama Community College in Bruton. Cole Saunier is playing shortstop. He's a player that nobody even knew about in high school. I actually went to his high school to scout a freshman that was 6'4" that somebody told me I needed to go and see, that was a potential pro prospect. And, that kid actually had a bad day, and Cole Saunier just showed up, and his hustle and, the way he played the game, it caught my eye. And I went up to him after the game and said, "Hey son, where are you going to play college baseball?" And he's told me, nowhere, nobody's even talked to me. And here he is, a senior, and had no clue, talk about the exposure and things like that. Within a week, I had him probably 10 offers, and he ended up signing with Coastal Alabama. And now he's signed to go to NAIA school next year. And I mean, he's just playing lights out. I mean, the way he plays the game, he plays hard. He's a hard-nosed kid. He hustles. He's got a live arm, and he's as good as they come defensively. And, I really like seeing him play and perform, and just knowing that he almost didn't even get a chance to play at the college level, to seeing where he is now is impressive. And, I'm really proud of him. And, him and the other one, Luke Sweeney, is another one at Coastal Alabama. He can swing it. He signed with the Division II school, Spring Hill College, next year. So I'm excited for him as well. But both of those kids, I mean, they can just flat out play, and they're having good seasons, and I'm proud of them. And, we started the It's My Time magazine that's coming out April 1st. And, we have those two guys on the cover of our magazine. So check it out. We have some other players highlighted inside the magazine. We're going to have a magazine come out the first of every month with high school and college players highlighted in it, plus some recruiting information inside the magazine. And it's available on our website as well as on Amazon. You can get it in a digital format or a print format. So we're excited about that. And, we're going to keep pounding the payments. We're going to be out there watching baseball. And I want to give credit to some of our My Time scouts. We have a lot of scouts with professional experience, with major league backgrounds, and, like Todd Self, played in the big leagues, and Nick Singleton, he pitched minor league baseball, really good baseball guys. But we have some other guys that are area scouts and kind of like associate scouts for us that, just go out and watch games and recommend players to us. And I want to compliment them. Like Brock Hernandez does a great job. Tristan Rogers does a great job. Mark Fontenot, Danny Benjamin out of Houston, and Mike Perry here in New Orleans. I mean, those guys are really, key for us. I mean, they call me and say, "Hey, look, David, I saw a player this past week. You need to check them out." And, they're doing a great job recommending players to us. So I want to compliment them and, make sure they know that we appreciate them. And, when you see them at a game, know that they're watching, and it's important for our program.
Well, one thing that I'll add to that is, even at the major league level, you're only as good as your grassroots scouting effort, which is the networking. And all of these guys that you just mentioned, they do a great job in their local communities to identify talent. And let's look at it. They're now reaching out, helping. So they should all be respected. They're going above and beyond. They're saying, "Hey, I'm going to do all I can do to get them to other people that are now connecting hands, that are networking, to help the player in that local community." Right. So that's not just with My Time. Even Major League Baseball relies on those grassroots scouts that are in the communities. They're the ones that make it happen.
Right. So. And if anybody out there is, got some baseball background, likes to go out to games, and, would be interested in helping out as a scout, be sure you reach out to us. I will leave the email in the link at the bottom of the YouTube video, and, along with some other links that you can purchase books and check out our websites. But we're always looking for good help. If anybody's out there wanting to help find quality players, be sure you reach out and let us know, and, we'll see if it's a good fit for us.
Gotcha. Well, I'm about to head out and go watch Edie White and Patterson play this afternoon, David. So I'd love to be on the show, and like you said, all of our scouts are going to go out there and pound the pavement, go see some more baseball, and look forward to the next episode.
Absolutely. Yes. I head out tomorrow. I head to Oklahoma to go watch some college baseball for the weekend, and hope everybody has a good Easter break. And, like I said, next episode, we're going to talk about the importance of junior college and really give you some information on junior college athletics and help you move on. So if you get a chance, pick up our books. It's My Time is out there, gives you a lot of information about the college recruiting. And, we have some other ones as well. So if you need anything, be sure you reach out to us. Our information is available on mytimesports.com and mytimesports.tv. And thanks for being here, and we'll see you next episode.